The Chevrolet Corvette is an American icon, a symbol of speed and style that's ruled the roads for decades. But not every Corvette model has been a winner. Some were plagued by poor performance, others by awkward designs, and a few were outright disaster. Today we're counting down the top 10 most hated Chevrolet Corvettes ever made. 1980 Corvette California 305. The 1980 Corvette California 305 was a perfect storm of frustration for enthusiasts. In an era of tightening emissions regulations, Chevrolet introduced this model specifically for California's stricter laws. Powered by a 305 cubic inch V8 engine, it produced just 180 horsepower, a far cry from what Corvette fans expected. To make matters worse, the only available transmission was a 3-speed automatic, further neutering its performance potential. Despite its shortcomings, the 305 California sold reasonably well, with over 5,000 units produced out of the 40,000 Corvettes sold that year. Priced at $13,140, around $46,000 today, it wasn't cheap, but it didn't offer much bang for the buck. Enthusiasts hated it for being a watered-down version of the Corvette, a car that was supposed to embody power and excitement. The California 305 was the only Corvette ever equipped with the 305 engine, making it a unique footnote in the car's history. Today, collectors avoid it, and it's often cited as one of the least desirable Corvettes ever made. 1982 Corvette Crossfire Injection. The 1982 Corvette was the swan song for the C3 generation, but instead of going out with a bang, it ended with a whimper. The Crossfire injection system, touted as a breakthrough in fuel injection technology, was the centerpiece of the model. However, it quickly became infamous for its unreliability and lackluster performance. The 5.7-liter V8 produced just 200 horsepower, which was underwhelming for a car with Corvette's legacy. Sales were decent, with Chevrolet moving 25,407 units in 1982, but many buyers were left disappointed once they got behind the wheel. Priced at $18,290, around $56,000 today, it was an expensive car that didn't live up to its reputation. The Crossfire injection system was so problematic that it earned the nickname Ceasefire Injection among frustrated owners. Despite its flaws, the 1982 Corvette introduced the 4-speed automatic transmission and featured a unique collector's edition with a liftback rear window. Fun fact, the collector edition accounted for 6,759 of the total sales, but even its special features couldn't save the Crossfire from criticism. Today, it's a cautionary tale about overpromising and under-delivering in the automotive world. 1975 Corvette Base Model. The 1975 Corvette marked a low point in performance for the C3 generation. With tightening emission standards and the end of leaded gasoline, the base model Corvette was saddled with a 350 cubic inch V8 that produced just 165 horsepower. For comparison, the 1965 base Corvette had over 300 horsepower. This drop in performance left enthusiasts feeling like the Corvette's soul had been stripped away. Despite its weak engine, the 1975 Corvette sold surprisingly well, with 38,465 units finding buyers. Priced at $6,810, around $37,000 today, it remained an affordable sports car, but it lacked the thrills that buyers had come to expect from the Corvette badge. One of the most controversial design changes for 1975 was the addition of a catalytic converter, which was necessary for emissions compliance but further strangled the car's performance. Fun fact, 1975 was also the final year for the Corvette convertible until its return in 1986, making it a bittersweet milestone. Today, the 1975 Corvette is remembered as a victim of its time when government regulations took precedent over performance. While it's not as despised as some other models on this list, it's certainly not a favorite among enthusiasts. 1984 Corvette C4. The 1984 Corvette C4 was supposed to usher in a new era for America's sports car. Unfortunately, its debut was marred by issues that left buyers cold. Powered by a 350 cubic inch V8 with 205 horsepower, it wasn't exactly a rocket. But the real problem lay in its new Crossfire injection system, which was unreliable and clunky to maintain. Sales figures tell a different story. Chevrolet sold a staggering 51,547 units of the 1984 Corvette, the highest production total for any Corvette model year. Priced at $21,800, around $62,000 today, it was still an attractive option for buyers eager to own the latest and greatest. What really drew criticism, though, was the C4's ride quality. Its stiff suspension made it a handful on less than perfect roads, and the overly digital dashboard, while futuristic, felt gimmicky to many drivers. Fun fact, the 1984 model year was the only time the C4 featured the Crossfire system. It was replaced by the much improved tuned port injection in 1985. Today, the 1984 Corvette is often viewed as a stepping stone to better things, but it remains one of the least loved Corvettes due to its teething problems and underwhelming performance. 1979 Corvette L48. The 1979 Corvette L48 came during a time when emissions regulations and fuel economy concerns had hit performance cars hard. The base L48 model was powered by a 5.7-liter V8 that produced a meager 195 horsepower. While that might have been acceptable for a family sedan, it was an embarrassment for a car wearing the Corvette badge. Despite its lackluster performance, sales were through the roof. Chevrolet sold an astonishing 53,807 Corvettes in 1979, making it the best-selling model year in Corvette history. Priced at $10,220, around $39,000 today, it was still an attainable sports car for many buyers. One of the most criticized aspects of the 1979 Corvette was its interior. Cost-cutting measures led to a cheap, plasticky cabin that felt unworthy of the Corvette name. Enthusiasts also lamented the loss of performance, which had defined earlier models in the C3 generation. Despite being a sales success, the 1979 L48 became a symbol of the Corvette's decline during the late 1970s. While it wasn't the worst Corvette ever made, it certainly didn't live up to the standards set by its predecessors, earning it a spot on this list. 1997 Corvette C5 base model. The C5 Corvette was meant to be a turning point for Chevrolet, with its all-new design and technology. But when the base model launched in 1997, it didn't exactly wow enthusiasts. Powered by a 5.7-liter LS1 V8, it made 345 horsepower. Respectable, but the early production models were plagued by quality control issues, including squeaky interiors, water leaks, and electrical gremlins. Sales were strong, with Chevrolet moving 9,752 units of the 1997 C5 Corvette, priced at $37,495, around $67,000 today. However, critics were quick to point out the car's overly conservative styling, which didn't feel like a big leap forward from the C4. Enthusiasts also found fault with the car's handling, which lacked the precision expected from a modern sports car. To its credit, the C5 introduced the now famous LS1 engine, which became a legend in its own right. The 1997 C5 was the first Corvette to feature a rear-mounted transaxle, which improved weight distribution and would become a hallmark of future models. While the C5 eventually grew into a respected generation, the 1997 base model remains a reminder of its rocky start. 1974 Corvette base model. The 1974 Corvette was a transitional model, caught between the chrome-laden 60s and the more angular designs of the late 70s. Unfortunately, its design left fans divided. The front and rear bumpers were replaced with urethane units to comply with new federal safety regulations, giving the car a bloated plastic appearance. Enthusiasts dubbed it the rubber bumper Corvette, and not as a compliment. Under the hood, the base model came with a 350 cubic inch V8 producing just 195 horsepower, a far cry from the performance Corvettes of the past. Despite its shortcomings, the 1974 model sold well, with Chevrolet delivering 37,502 units. Priced at $6,001, around $34,000 today, it was still affordable, but many buyers felt the Corvette had lost its edge. The 1974 model year also marked the end of true dual exhaust systems, as catalytic converters became mandatory the following year. Fun fact, the 1974 Corvette was the last model to feature a split rear bumper, making it a unique, if controversial, entry in Corvette history. Today, the 1974 base model is often overlooked by collectors who prefer earlier chrome bumper models or later high-performance variants. Its awkward styling and reduced performance make it a tough sell for enthusiasts. 2004 Corvette Commemorative Edition. Chevrolet introduced the 2004 Corvette Commemorative Edition to celebrate the end of the C5 generation, but instead of going out with a bang, it felt more like a fizzle. While the special edition featured unique Le Mans blue paint and commemorative badging, it offered little else to justify its premium price. Mechanically, it was identical to the standard C5, with the same 350 horsepower LS1 V8 under the hood. Sales figures for the Commemorative Edition weren't stellar, with only 6,899 units produced out of the total 34,064 Corvettes sold that year. Priced at $53,705, around $85,000 today, it left many buyers wondering why they were paying extra for what essentially amounted to a paint job. Critics panned the Commemorative edition for being a cash grab, offering no meaningful improvements over the base model. Enthusiasts who were hoping for a true send-off to the C5 were left disappointed. Fun fact, despite its lackluster reception, the Commemorative edition Z06 fared better, thanks to its lighter carbon fiber hood and enhanced performance. Today, the 2004 Commemorative edition is often seen as an afterthought in Corvette history, remembered more for its marketing gimmick than its substance. 1980 Corvette L82. The 1980 Corvette L82 was supposed to be the high-performance option of the time, but it fell short in nearly every way. Powered by a 5.7-liter V8, the L82 produced 230 horsepower, better than the base model, but still disappointing for a car that carried the Corvette's performance pedigree. To make matters worse, its handling felt heavy and uninspired, thanks to emissions regulations and weight-saving measures. Sales were sluggish compared to previous years, with Chevrolet selling 40,614 units in total, and only a fraction of those were L82s. Priced at $15,503, around $55,000 today, the L82's added cost didn't deliver the excitement enthusiasts were looking for. The 1980 model also saw the introduction of a controversial design change, the addition of front and rear spoilers that some critics felt made the car look overly busy. Fun fact, the L82's engine was detuned for California models, reducing power output to just 190 horsepower due to stricter emission standards. Today, the 1980 L82 is remembered as a car that tried to bring back the Corvette's performance spirit, but fell victim to the challenges of its time. It's a footnote in the Corvette story, overshadowed by more capable models. 1953 Corvette. At the top of our list is the 1953 Corvette, and while it's the car that started it all, it also faced a lot of criticism when it debuted. Powered by a 235 cubic inch inline-six engine producing just 150 horsepower, the 1953 Corvette didn't have the performance to match its sporty looks. Chevrolet decided to pair the engine with a 2-speed Powerglide automatic transmission, hardly the stuff of driving excitement. The 1953 Corvette was also plagued by quality issues. Its fiberglass body panels were cutting edge for the time, but often showed uneven gaps and poor fitment. Priced at $3,498, around $37,000 today, the car was expensive, and Chevrolet only managed to sell 300 units in its debut year. While exclusivity has made it a collector's item today, it wasn't well received when new. Critics and enthusiasts alike were underwhelmed, leading Chevrolet to make significant changes in subsequent model years. Fun fact, despite its shortcomings, the 1953 Corvette paved the way for the legendary sports car we know today, and its value has skyrocketed among collectors, often fetching seven-figure sums at auction. Today, the 1953 Corvette is more of a historical artifact than a practical classic, but it holds an undeniable place in automotive history.